Welcome to Bible Believers Fellowship and the ministry of bbfohio.com as we conclude this study in Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 through 4, titled, Set Your Affections on Things Above. This is part 2 of 2.
That's why verse 2 says, set your affection on things above. Affection. Today we live in a day of unnatural affection. We're told, we're two men and two women together. You're supposed to call that love. God says it's a vile affection. So a lot of people today can't even understand real affection because they have rejected God and they've embraced the sodomite definition of love. Love and affection basically go hand in hand. And we should be making heaven a passionate desire. That's setting your affection on things above. That's why you get around somebody, who just loves the Lord. They love to sing about the Lord. They love to talk about the Lord, but they love to talk about heaven. They love to think about heaven. Yeah. Why? Well, that's where He's at. Some of you remember what it's like to be in love. And wherever that person is, you wanted to be there. I remember being away with family, and any other time, I've been having the time of my life. But I had this serious crush on this girl. And I actually let it make me almost not enjoy my time because I wasn't where that girl was. And I thought, and then we broke up. I thought, I'll never have that again. Now, every time Jenny leaves the house, I'm so clingy. I'm really needy, We've spent one night apart, and I think it's just one night when you went to Memphis, wasn't it? Just one night. And man, I was like, Dave, you've been there recently. He knows what I'm talking about. That's when you love somebody, you want to be where they're at. Amen. Well, if you love Jesus, you want to be where He's at. See? That's how it works. Now call me strange. Ain't the first time you called me that. But I just love thinking about heaven and heavenly things. I've been with Christians and I talk to them and they want to talk about everything going on there. That's fine. Like, John, you said this morning, it's fine to be a part of the real world and deal with politics and illnesses and the weather and, I don't as much now, but there for a while I spent way too much time watching the Weather Channel. It's just like, I'm like, man, I got to stop doing this. I'm getting old. But, some Christians don't like to talk about heaven. Yeah. Amen. And so when you talk to them, they just look at you like, yeah, well, I got things to do. Got to go feed the hog and all that. And they just leave, It's nice to be able to sit around somebody who likes to talk about heaven. Amen. And not on things of the earth. Amen. And again, it doesn't mean you become no earthly good. Because of heaven, you are earthly good. Amen. Because of heaven, you want to tell people about Jesus. Because of heaven, you want to hand out the gospel tracts. Because of heaven, you want to do what's right when it comes to anything from politics to the weather. You want to do what's right. But some of you may want to be miserable. Well, I'm here to help. You want to be miserable? Just disobey this commandment. Don't focus on things above. Put all your focus on the here and now. You'll be miserable. That's right. Just the way it is. And, there are people who don't come to church because they're miserable. That's why. And they don't want to come through the door and lose their misery. They don't want to come through the door and sing songs about how wonderful it is to be saved, how wonderful heaven is. They don't want to come into the church building and hang out with a bunch of people who are heavenly minded. They don't want us to hear this kind of preaching. It might hurt their misery. Because some people, it's like they're addicted to it. They just love it. And that's why they don't go to, if they do go to a church, it'll be some place where it's mechanical or whatever, and they don't have to worry about having their misery disrupted. Trust me, people will go to churches like that. We've had people here, and I've had people 30 years of ministry who were married to people who would not come to a church like this, but told them, if you'll go to this other church, I'll go to church with you. Why? Because at that other church, they sing, 7-11 songs, the same 7 words 11 times over and over. And the preaching is from some corrupt, watered-down baby Bible. And it's a talking, just to make you feel good or whatever. And so they'll go to that church, and they don't actually want to feel good, but it's just nush, so they just zone it out, do a crossword puzzle while the guy's doing his little sermonette. That's what I've seen for going on 30 years of ministry. If you want to be miserable, set your eyes on the things down here on earth. Somebody posted yesterday on their social media, I think it was Facebook, showed a picture, it's supposed to be a true story. There was a hallway in a hospital in China. And the picture showed just Chinese paper money flung everywhere. And then the story said that this man was dying of cancer. He walked in with the equivalent of millions of dollars in Chinese yen, I think it's called, and took it to the doctor and said, do whatever you got to do, and this money's yours. And the doctor says, I'm sorry. No amount of money can change this. There's nothing I can do. And he starts screaming, what good is it to have all this money? What good is it to have all this money? And just starts flinging the money in the air and walks out of the hospital. And unlike what it would be like if that happened in America, there was no, body slamming going on to get the money. They roped it off and kept everybody away and picked it up and all that. But somebody snapped a picture of it. That money wasn't doing him any good. He had focused all his attention to making millions of dollars, millions of yen. Isn't going to change. It's appointed unto men once to die. And then the judgment. Amen. Ironically, even much of the world's stories, their shows, their movies, their music you listen to, they preach that earthly material things don't matter. Have you noticed that? You watch, and it's getting so tiresome that all the movies are always about some guy who realizes he should work less and spend more time with his family. And all that. And that was good the first 100 times they did that. You know what I mean? But now it's just like, come on, come up with some other plot. But you have to give them credit. That's a pretty good message, actually. It's just getting old, And that's the world even recognizes it. See, that's what whenever people stand at a great white throne judgment and they're judged, a lot of what they're going to be judged about is how that they did recognize how useless materialism is. How useless chasing the almighty dollar is. You should want to make money so that you can pay your bills, provide for your own, contribute to the work of the Lord, and have something stored up in heaven, some treasures in heaven. That's why you should work. But if you're working just so you can try to get as much as you can and have more toys and more this and have a bigger bank account so that when you die you can brag about how much you died with, I'm sorry, but you're not going to brag about that. And that's why they say you don't see very many hearses with a U-Haul attached. But when the world preaches this message that they preach about how, spend more time with your family or whatever, you ever notice that they look toward the heavens and not heaven? Think about that for a second. How many of these movies, shows, songs, if you wish upon a star. How about praying to God? See that? They're looking to the heavens. Even the movie that's probably going to play at some point in the next day or two, It's a Wonderful Life, the Jimmy Stewart. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. And you'll see, and they point up at what? Stars. Not the God in Jesus Christ. And I'm telling you, once you think about this, you'll see this in all these movies, these shows, other than like Charlie Brown Christmas. That's good. Yeah, they quote Luke and everything. It's great. Charles Schultz. But most of these Christmas things is all about, just wishing upon a star. And some of the I've seen movies where they actually will, use astrology, go to I was going to say psychic. That's right. And that's what the world, they look to the heavens. Why not look to the Creator of the heavens? But to the Christian, ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. And it's a spiritual truth, but again, is it a practical reality is the question we're being asked. And the spiritual reality is this. The world and the worldly professing Christian will never get it when you live out this truth. I want you to look at that and devour that right now with your brain. The world, but also the worldly Christian. If you try to live this as your life, if you set your mind on things above and not on things below. I've had people, and I've seen this over there, people that say, well, you spend so much time just going to church and doing all this church stuff and going around giving out gospel tracts, and you're always talking about God. When do you ever live? Yeah. You want a bigger house? Stop giving so much money to the ministries and stuff you give to, and you can have a bigger house. I've never actually seen that work. Anytime I see a real Christian stops giving to the ministry, God will get it out of you one way or another. Yeah. That's what happens. Why? Because He's a good Father, and He's not going to let you get by with being a punk. Amen. John Wesley, he said, your real spiritual life is hid from the world. They don't get it. And it's laid up in God with Christ. Christ, who hath merited, promised, prepared it for us, and gives us the earnest and foretaste of it in our hearts. Amen. I'm not saying you're not saved if you're not experiencing this. I'm saying that you should seek this from your relationship with the Lord, that it really just becomes a part of who you are. You can sense it and you can feel it in your heart. You want to go home. You love the idea of being in heaven. You miss Jesus. You love Him. You want to be where He is. You want to serve Him while you are here. You want to think about things that are in heaven and not things on the earth. You want to be heavenly focused. Make graduation day in front of the judgment seat of Christ more important than any graduation, any job promotion, any pat on the back, any praise you have on this earth. Make that more important than any of that other stuff. And verse 4, when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with Him in glory. Now you look at that. That has got to settle in what that's saying. I think people just sometimes read these verses and just kind of fly by them. When Christ, He is our life. How many times you heard the songs like that? What was it? Tom Cruise? You complete me. You remember that? So corny. You light up my life. Debbie Boone, I think, sang that. All these songs, and they'll say, oh, you're my whole life. You are everything to me. All right. Okay. But, Jesus should really be your life. You should have that kind of desire for Jesus. He should light up your life. And it's saying that at the rapture, we will appear with Him and be like Him. When it says, ye also appear with Him in glory. Some people think that that's for saying in glory means we'll appear with Him in heaven. That's not what it's saying. It's saying you will appear with Him in glory. You, all of you who are saved, you are going to appear with Him and you are going to be in glory. You are going to be in a sinless, perfect, no sickness. Right now we're all terminally ill. Got news for you. You're all going to die. In glory, no death, no sickness, no hunger, none of that. The oldest book of the Bible spoke of this event. I want you to turn to Job. We're going to wrap it up here, but I want to read this. Job. Get there myself. Right before Psalms. So you find Psalms, you're Real close. Job 19. Thought I had a bookmark so I could get right to it, but gives everybody else a minute to turn there. And Job 19, I just want to read verses 25, 27. To me, this is amazing. Like I said, this is the oldest book in the Bible, the first one written. He didn't have a Bible. Job didn't have a Bible to look all this stuff up and learn this stuff. And yet, look what we're told, beginning verse 25. Read that with me. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another, though my reins be consumed within me. And that's amazing. That's amazing. Now we fast forward to the inspired writings of the Apostle Paul. Go to 1 Corinthians 15. Keep in mind what we just read. Romans, 1 Corinthians 15. You want to have fun, just read the 1 Corinthians 15 from start to finish every once in a while. Go to 1 Corinthians 15, verse 51. It's a familiar passage. A lot of you have heard before. Verse 51 says, Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Now read 52 to 54 with me. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. Read 55. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Keep reading. The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. It's awesome. I don't know why I didn't add those other verses in my note there, but and that's what it's saying when it says, Then shall ye also appear with him in glory. That's what it means. And the inspired writings of the Apostle John tell us, Beloved, now are we the sons of God. That's if you're saved. And it doth not yet appear what we shall be. We don't see it, really yet. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. We shall be like him. We shall be like Jesus in glory. That should motivate us to be heavenly minded. Christ was born that he might die. Christ arose that we might live. That's really the Christmas story as we celebrate every December this time of year. Turn in your hymn book to page 89, and we're going to sing about it. 89. Let's sing it. Stand when you're able. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plain, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous praise. In excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem, let's see him whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. In excelsis Deo, in excelsis Deo. One last. See him in a manger laid, Jesus, Lord of heaven and earth. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid. With us sing our Savior's birth. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Amen.
Hee-haw over there. Got the dog laying in front of him.
The world outside is frightful, but our church is so delightful.
Amen.
So God says, come on home. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, but who cares, 'cause we're still talking.
That's right.
The cocoa is running low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally hug goodnight, how we'll hate going out in the storm. But should the rapture occur tonight, all the way up we'll go home.
Amen.
This world is quickly dying, and to witness we're still trying.
can cheer the heart like Jesus by his presence all divine. True and tender, pure and precious, oh, how blessed to call him mine. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me. And the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see. Love of Christ so freely given, grace of God beyond degree, mercy higher than the heaven, deeper than the deepest sea. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me. And the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see. What a wonderful redemption, never can a mortal know. How my sin, though red like crimson, can be whiter than the snow. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me. And the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see. Every need his hand supplying, every good in him I see. On his strength divine relying, he is all in all to me. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me. And the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see. By the crystal flowing river, with the ransomed I will sing, and forever praise and glorify the King. All that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me. And the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see. My lovely wife Jenny on guitar.